so much. Thank you. Congratulations on a wonderful event. And Margot, you know, we salute you. We are not worthy. You are phenomenal inspiration, and you are absolutely the call to action to excite all of us along the coast to, you know, do what we can to preserve and protect our ocean. I think the last we heard, there were 2 national reports calling for action on the ocean. 2 national reports talking about the plight of the ocean, that it's in desperate shape, that it's on, you know, the brink of dying in a variety of ways, and Congress has done very little to date. So your actions, your paddle, your commitment, your mom with a mission, you know, is just absolutely fantastic, and we are all so grateful to you.
While her final landing in Camden, Maine marked the end of her journey, it was really just the beginning. Her paddle up the eastern seaboard was just her way to create a platform to spread a message. A year later, she reincarnated the mission with a more direct call for action.
A New Jersey woman is making her second canoe voyage to call out to congressmen to help save our seas. Medford Lakes resident Margot Pellegrino began her 500-mile message in a bottle paddle in her outrigger canoe today at the Little Egg Harbor Yacht Club in Long Beach Island. She will be paddling through districts of congressmen who are considering a comprehensive Healthy Oceans Act. Along her way, she will collect messages urging the congressmen to protect our oceans for the future. And Margot will deliver the messages in a bottle in Washington, D.C. to Congress when she finishes her journey around July 17th.
The bottles, tied up in a net bag, are strapped to Margot Pellegrino's slim yellow outrigger canoe as she paddles for Washington. And they carry a simple message, she says.
SOS is basically help on the water or anywhere, you know, sending out an SOS. And we're sending out our SOS Save Our Seas because they need to be saved.
Pellegrino and her sponsors, the National Resources Defense Council, are among environmental groups backing a measure called Oceans 21, which establishes a comprehensive federal policy for conserving and managing ocean resources. The legislation stems from recent studies by the U.S. Commission on Ocean Policy and the Pew Commission, a nonprofit. Pellegrino paddled from Miami to Maine last year to promote ocean stewardship, 4 times the distance of her 500-mile trip from New Jersey to Washington. But that doesn't mean this trip is a piece of cake, she says.
The challenge is I'm not as fit as I was when I did the Miami to Maine. That was close to 2,000 miles, and I trained I trained.
This year, she took the Delaware and Raritan Canal, known as the DNR, from Long Beach Island on the Jersey shore to Trenton.
And down the Delaware and the C&D Canal, and then on Sunday I paddled from Chesapeake City to here, to Baltimore.
Margot's been collecting bottles during her journey, and she hopes to send a message to Congress.
That our oceans are on the brink of disaster, so the time is now. We can't wait.
Pellegrino started with bottles from advocates in South Jersey and picked up more along the way.
They're from whomever will give me a message wherever I go.
And it doesn't matter what kind of bottle either.
Beer bottle, wine bottle. And you know what? The best bottles are the ones that you pick up off the ground that haven't made it into the trash. So if you want to stick in a message in the bottle, then grab one that's on the ground. Because you know where it's going to end up if you don't.
She says she'll deliver the bottles directly to Congress before the summer is out.
When she got to Capitol Hill again, Congressman Farr was very appreciative of her efforts to help advance his Healthy Oceans legislation.
And so, Margot, I want to just congratulate you as being one of the most effective lobbyists I've seen in a long time, because you're just your act of paddling this coast, and now in your second year of it. And just plain speak has really been effective. You've gotten more press. Rightfully so. And I hope you serve as a model to a lot of people that one person can make a difference. Because the last thing I'd like to say what Margot did is that along the way she's been very thoroughly finding out who the elected officials are, who the members of Congress, and telling them that she's coming to their community and she'd like to have a press conference.
People want to do the right thing, but they can't act unless they're aware there's a crisis. What she's doing is reaching a lot of people and creating momentum. And when you consider that half the U.S. population lives or works in coastal communities, the whole thing doesn't seem that crazy after all. In fact, hitting the local media markets along the whole eastern seaboard to spread a message might just be downright sensible. And as for the coastal communities along the rest of our nation, the distance between them is getting smaller and smaller to her. She hit the Gulf Coast a year later, her third expedition in 3 years. Once again, the kids and I would head down to visit her, this time over Mother's Day weekend.
Here's a story that fits right into the fact that Mother's Day is this Sunday. A mom greets her 2 kids after a long trip.
Hey! Who is it? It's those little funny children!
The splash you heard, by the way, was Mom's paddle, because Mom in this case is ocean paddler Margot Pellegrino. She's kayaking from Fort Pierce, Florida to New Orleans, Louisiana, a distance of about 1,200 miles.
So I'm at the, I don't know, I guess I've got a couple hundred more. I probably have about 400 more to go, yeah. So I'm more than halfway.
Even if you're in great shape, though, winds and currents can work against you, especially if you're paddling miles offshore in the Atlantic or Gulf.
You know, what we need to do with the ocean on a grand scale is kind of analogous to that. You know, if you don't keep moving forward, you just don't move. And very often you blow backwards.
Because that's why Pellegrino is kayaking such an incredible distance, to call attention to the need for healthy oceans. Conservation organizations like the Natural Resources Defense Council are backing her trek.
You know, I might be the lonely paddler paddling the miles, but I really do look at this just because of the nature of the boat, the nature of the mission. This is a group effort. It would not be possible without all the people that were behind this, and without NRDC and Gulf Restoration Network.
Dr. Felicia Coleman knows something about healthy oceans. She's the director of Florida State University's Marine Lab. She bristles at those who might call Pellegrino's paddle-thon little more than a stunt.
First of all, let me just ding scientists, of which I am one. Sometimes we just can't speak the lingo. And when you have a woman, you know, she's a mother of 2, she thinks it's so important to go out and spread this word because she has such deep concern for her children and their welfare in the future. I think people can connect with her in just a profound way. I think it's incredibly important. I don't see it as a stunt at all.
Not just to attract public attention.
This is absolutely a grassroots mechanism. This is bring it up from the bottom because the top ain't raining it down. It's really important what she's doing.
And hopefully for those folks to put a bit of pressure on policymakers.
Legislators need to know, whether it's at the federal level or the state level or your local level, they count the letters. They count the stacks. How high is my stack for ocean health?
But all that can wait for a few days. Pellegrino will be spending Mother's Day weekend on land with her kids Billy and Julia and husband Carl. After that, she'll resume the long and lonely paddle from St. Mark's to the Big Easy.
So she is carrying a message along America's coastal communities and cities to help call attention to the science that calls for ocean conservation and advance the public policy necessary to heal it. She started out with just the passion for helping to protect the world of her children's future. And they're my children too. And collectively it's but the future for all our children. So while she leads a normal life most of the time, each year she's taken a few weeks to be at sea to help protect its future. And although she's away, this is possibly the best lesson which can be imparted by a mother. Why merely just think about changing the world, when you can take action to influence its destiny, and quite possibly demonstrate how one person can make a difference for not only our children, but for all our children, as they are the future leaders of our world.